Are we ready? Okay, I'm going to introduce my panelists for today. I'm going to start with Samuel. Samuel is a youth president and Global Peace for the Global Peace Foundation, Kenya, and he's the chairman of the University of Nairobi Peace Students Association. Following Samuel is Isaac, and Isaac is the director of Peace Culture, also the country director, Peace Cultural Heritage Alliance, and he's also a criminologist and a security expert, vocal human rights defender, and revolutionarist peace ambassador in our country and East Africa region at large. Following Isaac is Ahmed Khadar. Ahmed Khadar is a digital strategist and also is the founder of the Wafugaji News and also a communication consultant for the Somali Heritage Week 2019. Okay, and Umulke, I'm sure you all know Miss President, the reality show, and she was one of the participants, and also the founder and director of Kesho Alliance, which is a non-profit that advocates for the quality education, youth and women empowerment in Garissa, Kenya. It is by far and no doubt that the youth comprise of the biggest percentage on the African population, right? And the productivity capabilities to sustain, they have the productivity capabilities to sustain economies because they are very energetic and innovative and dynamic. However, and I think you will all agree with me, the youth on this continent and also in Kenya face a lot of challenges and so many exclusion from the government, especially when it comes to political participation, and also they have a lot of challenges such as marginalization, unemployment, poverty, because if you have no job, then no food to feed, barriers to education, and multiple forms of discrimination, which our panelists are going to address. I would like to start with Samuel. Samuel, could you just talk about the challenges of the youth in relation to especially peace?
Okay, thank you so much. The issue to do with the youth is, peace, the word peace is relevant, right? So peace is not only the absence of conflict and war. So, and most people who are vulnerable to conflicts, they're the women and the youth. So, so the topic is really essential, and as we continue discussing, we're going to get to the core issues, and mostly the issues to do with unemployment, poverty, and all that. Those are some of the contributors to, violence in most of the parts of the country. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. So, Isaac, as a criminologist and a security expert, one of the challenges that the youth face is some harassment by our security apparatus. Can you talk about that a bit in detail, please?
Yeah, thank you very much. I'd like to say that in Kenya, and we can all agree to this, is that the moment you meet the law enforcers, you are harassed. You ask for a lot of documents, a lot of questions: where are you going, where are you coming from, where do you stay, what do you do, how much is in your pocket, right? These are the kind of harassment that we face day in, day out. And I can say that it is not only subjective to one youth group, it is cutting across. And due to our marginalization issues, like we have the Somali people, who are mostly the victims of the security apparatus, you will find that the way I'm going to be harassed is not the equal way as Somali people or person. is going to be scrutinized or will be checked. I don't know the reason behind it, but we can trace this from our history. We know that some communities in this country have been marginalized, segregated. Some people in this country, it is easy for them to get like ID, to get like birth certificate. But to other communities, you find it is so difficult. And when you are arrested, they are asking you, where is your ID card? And then you remember that you were never given, not even the ID card, but even the birth certificate. You find that you face a lot of challenge. Before even you explain yourself, you are behind the bars. These are the challenges we face. Not only the youth from the regions that I come from, maybe, but across all of us.
Thank you very much. Ahmed Khadar, as a journalist, a communication strategist for Wafugaji News, which deals with issues the pastoralists face, what are the challenges that the pastoralist youth are facing in Kenya?
Okay, thank you first of all for having us, especially me, on this panel discussion. As Isaac has said, he has enumerated the kind of challenges that we need to go through. But it's not easy to summarize what the Kenyan youth go through day to day in this panel discussion. But I'll be privileged to say one or two things, and also in regards to the pastoralist youth. As you know right now, the biggest challenges the youth are facing, before I summarize it to the pastoralist youth, is something called unemployment. Nowadays, it's easy for a 70-year-old to get employed than, if you've been following the social media discussion and the kind of appointment that were made in the last few days, even dead people have been appointed to positions of, in government, then the way a young man would find it easy to do it. And it has been a very hot topic, especially in social media discussion. And social media is the only platform the young people have to raise their voice and put the issues across. Okay, come back to now to the issue of pastoralist youth. The pastoralist youth are somehow more disadvantaged than the youth of other parts of the country, in the sense that, first of all, for them, life is a daily struggle, as much as it is for everyone, but then it's more worse in terms of when it comes to seeking education, when it comes to seeking opportunities. And one of the things that minimize people seeking opportunities is documentation. If you have watched NTV last week, there's a story that was highlighted by the media regarding a young man who has finished high school, but who can't seek any opportunities. He can't live he can't go anywhere because it has become very hard for him to get an identity card. And Isaac has said it's more rigorous and more hard for a pastoralist to acquire documentation than someone from other parts of the country. He says he doesn't know the reason why, but if he allows me to tell him one or two things why is the reason. There is what's called the session paper of 1969 that was passed in this country regarding northern Kenya to declare a more or less an unproductive region, and the government didn't find it necessary to invest in it in terms of infrastructure, in terms of so many things that give opportunities to life. So those are the challenges that the pastoralist youth go through. We say like seeking education, opportunities in terms of, they're limited because of their documentation. But we cannot just sit here and lament about problems. We have to bring solutions. And I don't know whether I should talk about it or whether we're going to discuss it. Thank you.
We'll get to that. Thank you very much. Mulke, as the only lady, we'll go a bit specific. So what are the challenges that young ladies and young girls in Kenya are facing?
Thank you for having me. And I'll talk as an activist for girl child and issues girl child. Generally, I think Kenya itself has a problem with women. Looking at the current bill we're discussing that has never been passed. And the thing is, we are dealing with patriarchy. We are dealing with concepts of society and how society views women. And that comes down to also the amount of illiteracy levels that are in our country. We are trying to catch up with education. And we know education, other than the certificates it gives, opens a lot of doors in terms of information and empowering you with knowledge. But women, specifically in this country, have had a challenge in terms of leadership. We lack the avenues, we lack the right policies that are there to support us, because we keep sending people who are not bringing anything tangible to Parliament, people who cannot advocate for their own women, and this has come down to a point where we are unable to undo the issues of the problems that were done before. And when the president, for example, signs on a bill that says this are the amount of money we've allocated and all sanitary pads should go for free, but you find the same products on the shelves, on the markets, and the things that are being offered are not of quality, then you wonder what exactly is the priority of this country when it comes to women. So I feel like it needs a lot of investment in terms of information, in terms of even the leadership, the kind of MPs that we have, to question the female caucus that are already there. What exactly are they doing to bring up the voices of women in this country? Because I'm an individual, there are other women who are also doing the job, but the women leaders are not taking up to support it. So I feel like it's a collective effort, both from the society, the leaders especially, and also the kind of advocacies that's going on. There's a lot of issues in terms of even the shrinking of our own civic space as CSOs and as civil society. There are things we cannot talk about because they know it's wrong, and we are not allowed to talk about it.
Okay, thank you very much. I hear a lot about the lack of infrastructure and structures in place to support the youth.
Yes.
So, can we talk about some structural defects that we have in Kenya to support the youth, and what kind of support in terms of policies and structures do we need in order to empower the youth? I will start with you.
Concentrating on the, okay, fine, thank you. The infrastructures, what I can say, the health infrastructure, education, like schools and all that. Those are also kinds of infrastructure. But again, I'm looking at it at this point. Education has become like, back on our days, our parents used to say, hey, go to school, education is the key. But again, education has become like, okay, for instance, in a year we have like more than 500,000 youths graduating, and now the issues of mental health now coming, Last week we were doing a mental walk, and youths were coming out and saying, look at the past, killings. People, youths are killing themselves because of depression and all that. You have done with, you just graduated the other day, you're going to the job market, and then you're being told you need 15 years of experience, honestly. So you get that that those infrastructures, the schools are there, but again, what next? What's the next move for our youth? It's really sad. Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And in fact, there's something very important you mentioned, the issue of mental health. Before we talk about empowerment, nowadays, mental health has become an issue, especially among the young people. Depression, anxiety. There's a group of young people who are very ambitious, yet they find themselves in an environment that's not conducive to their growth as a person and generally as a society. So the rate of which young people are killing nowadays, if you have been following the news, the other day a young girl committed a suicide. Yeah? And there were two stories. One was related to what Mohamed has talked about, the issue of what do you call the menstrual health, yeah? In terms of a young girl who is just 13, 14, was harassed and more was by her teacher, who's supposed to be a guardian. So we also need to see, need to talk about how young people relate to the people they live with, be it their parents or be it their guardians in terms of teaching. So mental health is a very important topic that needs to be looked into and see how young people can be empowered to overcome these suicidal thoughts. Now coming to the issue of empowerment, which you have just raised. there's the issue of, you see, in this country, we have policies and plans. The government always churns out policies after policy for young people. It has become a sort of campaign rhetoric, but for ground things are different, as they say nowadays. Yeah, because you see, for example, right now, if you look at the Ministry of Youth, for example, the youth, what do you call the youth agenda in terms of the youth fund. When you read those reports and those figures, you see anyone who is a stranger to this country will think Kenyan youth are really enjoying, yeah, in terms of the amount allocated to them and to their empowerment. But in real sense, the youth are not getting that money. The youth, someone is, again, now the youth empowerment, the youth fund is supposed to empower young people, but the question is, the young people get those programs that are floated by the youth fund? Do they get tenders, for example, meant for them? Is the 30% allocated by the government applicable in real sense? Or is it just on paper? That's one thing we need to discuss and put the government on its toes, especially. Now coming to private sector in terms of youth empowerment, I'm sorry if I'm taking more time, you can alert me. Yeah? There are startups, there are people who are doing marvelous jobs in this country. For example, she's a young girl, but if you look what she has achieved so far and how she's going places and how she's helping young people, she has, for example, an organization, Education Alliance, and in fact takes kids to school, girls who cannot manage to get sponsorship. Someone who is not even 25 years old doing that kind of amazing job. So we need to now such kind of people to empower them so they can empower other youth.
Thank you very much. You can join us at Nasir.
So to add on this point, I also feel like in as much as we've invested in the whole Youth Enterprise Fund, even the young people lack the training, and I'm speaking from what's happening in my own county. Money has been allocated. The young people come for the money, they access the money, but then they end up misusing the money. And you can't really blame them because, for one, these are loans. It's not like you're giving them grants, and you're giving them loans, and they have zero prior experience of how to manage funds. So I feel like the ideas are there, the structures are really nicely put, but how even we're implementing it is always wrong. And I get angry by the fact that most of the job is done by CSOs and INGOs and NGOs when the government itself should be doing these things. Literally, we are a whole country running on aid. Our own researches about youth are funded by embassies. It's very embarrassing when you see these things. You wonder where exactly do we invest in as a country. So I feel like a lot of things it should be kind of like a revolution. I don't know how that can start. I'm not inciting anything, but I'm just saying we need to be angry enough to start asking the right questions. And the thing that happens is anytime you meet your leader, we glorify them. Instead of asking them, this year you got this amount of money, what exactly have you done for me? People just want to take selfies and that's it. So it's a problem that stems from all sides, but more empowerment should be given to the youth, more attention. We need to be treated as the current crisis that's already there, because we are a crisis. If our issues are not addressed, we'll release a generation that's broken, and we're going to have horrible leadership going forward.
Okay, let me just summarize what you said in a very famous quote by the United States, the former president of the USA, Franklin Roosevelt. He said, "We cannot always build the future for our youth, but we can build our youth for the future." So, talking of that, let's go into. I think it all starts with political participation, of which we are all aware that the youth are actually excluded, or also just because you don't have funds and finances to go and campaign, you cannot get into politics, right? And also, we are not being supported to be in politics. So let's talk about political participation. What do you think the youth should do, to get to that decision-making position, so that they can also, promote youth issues at that level? Let's start with Ahmed Nasir.
Thank you, Abdul Nasir. I apologize because I had some other engagements I had to go to Pangani police station to negotiate for the release of somebody who was arrested. So that's why I took long to, that's my work. So I'm a human rights lawyer, I have to.
And we just talked about police harassment of the youth. So.
Yes. Thank you for this opportunity. And my fellow panelists, thank you for also joining us in this great occasion. You asked about the political participation, the youth, how they are supposed to be. I think I should first start with Muhair. She has set a very great precedence for the young people of this country that is family known as the inaugural Miss President. Although per se it wasn't a real political competition, but it was a pace setter for political leadership for women. And it is something that we can all take example of. I might take some examples from National Assembly and the Senate. We have young people who have been elected. Some of them, I'm sorry to say, are not good role models, but the fact that they're young people and they have went into the field and won elections is something that we need to celebrate. But the challenge that is out there is we, the young people. We are almost 60% of this population, the population of this country, 60% consists of the young people. It is us who have to make the decision. Just the same way a woman can become a president. But then when it comes to the real elections, the real campaigns, Martha Karua vied for elections, Charity Gilu vied for presidency, and a good number of women never elected them, never supported them. I mean, even the young people, I cannot say Peter Kenneth is a young man, but he was a bit closer to that age group of the young people, but we never voted for him. I'm not trying to say he was the best presidential candidate, but then the young people are not going for the young generations. Perhaps it's because of tribal affiliations or even money is involved. So I think it is the right time the young people should take up the mantle and make decisions for our own, even in the counties, even in those low-level, developed units. So I think that is what I can say about the participation of the young people in political dispensation.
I would like to support my brother here. He has mentioned something to do with the 60% of the youth in this country. It is not the first time the youth composes the two-third majority of the population. It has been since like that, since independence. We need to ask ourselves, why are we not in the government? One reason is that we are being used, misused, and maybe abused. If we check now the by-elections that are going on in Kibera, we'll find that the youth are the one being used for campaigning, right? After there's mayhem, the youth are the one who are used to do the rioting, right? We need to ask ourselves, do we have a political party that is just ran and funded by the youth? Do we have one? We don't have. So for us to be participating for the political parties, we don't have to support our grandfathers. Let us first form a political party that belongs to the youth. Let us advocate the MCA position to be left to people who are 35 years and below. Now the moment that we say the youth cannot lead, let the old people who have experience to do the presidency, to do the Senate, to do everything else, but the lower position, like the MCA, a small word, should belong to young people. We should be vying for that. Now the problem comes. Why are we not being appointed to hold this bigger position that we are advocating for, that we are crying for? We have not been appointed. There's this chairman elected to Nakada, you know him? And there are these young parliamentarians But we thought whenever they go to the chambers, they are going to change the status quo. But what do they do when they go there? They start dancing the rhythm of the older people. Whoever finances you controls you. Whoever feeds you controls you. That is why I'm saying we need to have our own financed, maybe a political party, that whichever agenda that we are going to bring forward and take to the chambers should belong to the youth. If you're not going to do that, then I swear to you, you're going to dance the rhythm of those grand people there. That is the system, that is the status quo. And about, he mentioned about women. Women compose 56% of this country, of the population. Yeah? We need to ask ourselves, why is that we are crying that we need that, we call it two-third agenda and equalization. Women, I think they are waiting for maybe nomination to be nominated as a senator, but they don't want to take the mantle, they don't want to hold the tough contest. What we should be crying for, it is to level the ground for equal participation for both men and women, such that whoever wins, they should be winning from their participation or their aggressiveness to take. But we should not be waiting like, yes, we are women, we need now, we cannot compete with men, give us a chance and just nominate us. We should not be advocating for that. She is leading from her side. Other ladies should follow suit. That is my view when it comes to women. We should not just wait to be given just a seat or a spot somewhere in government. We have seen women doing that. It is doable, it can be done. Let us take it over.
Let me just say something before we continue, because it just, Isaac said something that I find a bit problematic. It's not like women are just sitting and waiting. You know we have a problem in this country, and that is patriarchy. We should not forget the issue of patriarchy. So you will find women vying, but of course we also need the votes of men. Will they vote for women? There is intimidation for women.
Patriarchy is an African thing, yeah? We call it male supremacy. But women have their own power in their own way. What I'm saying, there is a point that I said, maybe in a low vocal, that we need to level the ground for equal participation, for equal campaigning, yeah? We should set the limit for how much someone should spend on campaign, how much time they need and such, yeah? Women, if women lead, we have seen people like Ngilo, how do you call her? Yes, we have her. But the moment she wins, she gets labeled that this is a mistress to a big man. Do we hear that? When she wins, if today she wins to be a governor here, you will see her being labeled. She's a mistress to someone. Who does that? These are now the problems that we need to be fetching out, to be taking them away.
You see that? Sorry to interrupt, but the issue of labeling women is not a Kenyan problem. It's everywhere. Even Trump is labeling Ilhan Omar, who is a US Congresswoman. And so I don't want to dwell on that. Let's come to the issue of participation. You see, if you don't participate in politics, they say you'll have the chance to be governed by those who are inferior than you. I won't take from personal experience because I participated in an election and I never won. And I want to take from the youth perspective of why the youth have challenges when it comes to political participation. The biggest issue is the young people and women, they are a problem to themselves. They are the majority. Let's be honest about this. We don't have to sugarcoat things for anyone. The thing is, we are the majority, the young people and the women of this country. But we come second, third when it comes to political participation because we are never organized. We don't see ourselves as a force to reckon with. We become, a stepping stone for political parties and bigwigs, in the sense that we are used as a stepping stone toward other. If you remember the 2013 election, the Ruto campaign was led by young people. The political party, the chairman of TNA was less than 30 years at that time. And the Secretary General was more of a young man. And the people who were in the mashinani, people who were in the county level were young people. But the moment Ruto assumed power, what happened? The youth were just, whatever kind, because they never had, they were not organized to have, that force to reckon with in the political participation. Having said that, the other big challenges that young people go is penetrate the political system. It's not easy to maneuver your way up the political system we have in this country, where it's entrenched. If, for example, today, if Baba ditches ODM, and I'm using this as an example, if he ditches a party and form another party, everyone will leave ODM and go to where Baba is. But if a young person today comes out with a serious political party that has new ideas, want to revolutionize things, want to change the way things are run in this country, no one takes them serious. They start saying, we are going to marry an agenda, what kind of stuff. In France, the current president of France, Macron, when he became president, he was 37 years old. No one knew him in that country, politically. What has he done? He just, campaigned, come up with ideas, revolutionized things around, and people elected him based on what he was saying. But this is in this country. If, for example, my sister here, she participated in an election, but not like mine, hers was more of a TV show. So I'm just on a light note, yeah? And we campaigned for her, and she learned the art and all these things, and then she went somewhere. But if today, the same woman who is trying to change things on the ground for culture, if today she decides to protest in a county, I can swear she won't have an easy ride. No one will want to know what she has done. At that time, she's labeled the girl from a certain family. Who is she? Who is her? If she was married, that kind of things. Some silly things that we shouldn't be looking when it comes to election. Yesterday, on this same platform, there was a panel discussion, which was Madam Sophia, the MB for Ijara, was part of it. And you know what she said? She said she has been serving her community for 30 years. Yeah? And she has tried to challenge men for that seat. Yeah, for 3 times. The 3rd time she won it. So what is the lesson here? The lesson here is young people and women who are sort of so-called marginalized. I don't like this most of the time, because you cannot be marginalized unless you allow it to be done to you. What has she done? She has overcome all those challenges, and she has made history by becoming the first woman ever in the history of northeastern Kenya to be elected an MP, not a woman rep, a seat special for women, a member of parliament representing a constituency.
She met for men.
And she fought for men and she won it. So the point I want, as I summarize here, is what was Jipangi. People should know where they're coming from and where they're heading. There's a strength in unity. In social media, from my experience, I find a lot of wars with the political class. And one thing I observed is, young people will hate you for raising issues. For saying, for example, this governor or this, and by the way, we discussed mostly devolution, because we thought devolution would come and change the region. Our counties get, for example, the 3 counties of the Northeastern get a combined annual budget of about 30 billion shillings. That 30 billion can change the face of northern Kenya, in fact. But 7 years down the line, since devolution started, we have nothing to show for it, despite the huge amount. So when we talk about this thing, even the young people, instead of joining the discussion, instead of raising issues, they take sides just because a certain governor comes from their clan, or a certain governor, gives them some handouts here and there. So we need to see the bigger picture. We need to discuss issues and forego, personality cult and worshipping people, and let's talk things the way they are. We have social media, which is a platform that can be used positively, and we need to raise those concerns. And I'm addressing the young people, please stop being psychophants. It adds no value to anyone's life. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, I'm hearing like there's no unity. The youth are not united at all, and yes, they can mobilize, and that's why they can vote in Ruto. They can mobilize a lot, but maybe it's because, I don't want to talk about it anyway, but I also heard we have to form our own political party and stop, joining the already existing political parties that are not giving us the chance to be candidates, right? So I just wanted to talk about what alternative avenues, can the youth pursue for politics? I think I'll start with you, okay?
I'll talk about the recent show that I participated in. And basically the whole program was about increasing the spaces of women in leadership. But it was also increasing the spaces of youth in leadership, because we had several young people, all of them are women, but young women who came out to take up that space. And what's happening currently is half of the young people who are on the show are actually going for political seats, declared in public that they are going to run for office. And that's because of the amount of capacity building we got while on the TV program. You get exposed to several people, you get exposed to, you see how in Kenya your political introduction has to be through a political party. Coming on TV on a reality show about leadership gives you automatic political introduction, meaning you do not need to go through several politicians or, at the end of the day you will need a party. Gives you the strength to even form your own party. So the avenues that we can take up is social media as a tool. How do young people organize themselves online? Would you want to, like he said, be not united and spew a lot of hatred and talk a lot of rubbish that doesn't make sense? Or do you come together to form one strong political party that becomes the voice of young people? So what young people need is just that opportunity. Just the political introduction, whether it's on TV, whether it's done by donor communities, whether it's done by politicians themselves. As long as young people get that support, it's not always about the financial aspect. We just need to be organized, because ideas are there, the capacity is there, but a little push towards that would be really good. And just to go back on the spaces, on women waiting for you, I totally disagree with that. I don't like hearing it, because I am a woman and I've gone for my seat. And if, like he said, I go back to my community, I will not be elected because of negotiated democracy. Was they sit down and they decide, Omi, you're not from my tribe, Kabile, get out, we need this person, or you young, get out of the space. So women are facing patriarchy. That's a real challenge. And looking at even Mama Safia as an example of a woman leader that we have elected, she ran for office 3 times since 1997. In the year 2007, she was nominated. And that's the importance of nomination. Because once you're in the assembly, you get the experience that you need, and you come back and hit back and go for that office aggressively, because you also get access to financial support. And that's why 2/3 gender rule is there, not for women. Tomorrow men might be marginalized. So what will happen then? 2/3 will favor them. So what we need to do, and even advise the women that we have, they just get organized. That bill will go through if it looks like it's coming from the men. That's how patriarchy works. Go about with the ego really nicely, and that comes through very well for you. And from then on, a woman who's nominated today for a seat, tomorrow will go for an elective seat. And that's exactly what's happening across the country. I think Nisula was nominated. She went for an elective seat. That's what the whole nomination slot is about, to give you the capacity and the right political introduction that women need. Now what we need to address is how the nominations are done. Do we nominate the right women who have the capacity, or do we nominate women who are not competent enough? Because the problem we are having is we are sending women who cannot speak for us, while the right women, the grassroots activists, are being left behind.
Thank you. So I hear from Umulker, the women are being marginalized by patriarchy, and I would like Samuel to talk about the young men also, because they also don't get a chance to be in a political position. And one of the reasons is because you are told you are less experienced, wait for your turn, right?
I know, yeah, because, well, even in the job market, you know, you're being asked for 15 years of experience, which is so sad, and you're just from yesterday, you're being graduated, you know, so it's really a big gap. So, what I need to say, I think maybe in future, with the issue of gender equality, which also is among some sustainable development goals, so we need also to check whether, I think maybe we can come up with policies. If we have a president, maybe is a man, we have the opposite gender, even to Senate and all the other seats, so that we have that. You know, I'm just thinking, that's my own, you know, I'm a peace scholar. My heart doesn't know how to bleed, so I really feel for the youth. When you come to social media, I often see them attacking the politician and all that. That is not our work. Let's sit down as youth and come up with something constructive, you know. So, and then you talked of alternative means to the livelihood, I maybe say. We really need to come to be innovative. The new education is teaching us to be character and creative. We need to have a character and creativity mindset, you know. Like, but again, the same thing is not being supported by the government. Like, I have a friend of mine, it's called Abdi. It's called Abdi Ali. He came the other day in our office. He has a very nice app, you know. It's called M-Luga. And M-Luga, if you go to the side of Garissa, is really helping the young kids to translate, you know, their local language to, you know, the English, Kiswahili, and all that. And we are not, the youth are not being supported by the government itself. So we really need to be innovative. April, I was in South Korea, same thing. But those guys are really, you know, they're fighting for themselves. The youth are fighting. We have hawkers, you know. But come in our home country, give our youth who has just graduated the macho will give you. It's like, what the hell? And that's why they're killing themselves with depression. They've graduated 7 years in Nairobi University. You end up nothing. Most of them, they're begging for jobs, just begging for experience, 3 months. I tell them, why can't you just come and I write for you a letter of experience for three months? Why do you come and waste the entire, you are sitting somewhere to gain experience of 3 months, and when you go to job market, you are being asked for 15 years, honestly. So we really need to be innovative. Let's come up. Don't underestimate any job. If you want to sell jugu, go out and sell. You know, that's why you'll get the hawker is taking your girlfriend for a date. Then you end up being depressed. You see, so we really need to think in that perspective. Thank you.
Yes, I want to say something.
By the mere existence of male doesn't mean it is a threat to the female. Yeah, we are all human. So what we need to do, we have the cultural aspect, like the one we are calling clanism, that is holding women back. We have early marriage, we have FGM going on. It is criminalized and it is illegal, but you find that your auntie, your mother is taking you to your auntie so that you can undergo such a humiliating in the name of culture. The same thing, it is being on another level brought that a girl child should not go to school. What are you doing? Some communities are doing this. So what are you doing to this girl child? You are destabilizing them from having an equal capacity to their male counterpart. This is where the problem is coming in. First, we need to expose the female to the equal education that the male, the boy child, is being exposed to. Then women, like, biologically, if they cannot go to school maybe 4 days in a month, we need to empower them. If it is the sanitary towel, they need to be like 0 tax. Why should we lower tax for alcohol in this country? Yeah? And then we cannot even lower tax for the sanitary towel, making many girls not to attend school maybe for a week, And if you calculate that maybe in a year, you will find that they waste a lot of time at home. These are the things that in future they have a ripple effect. We cannot compete equally, women cannot compete equally with men. That's my point that we need to address.
My sister asked about how the youth can overcome these challenges in terms of leadership. And if I speak from the point of view of the Somali community, we have this mentality that if you have no money and you are not from a very important family, you will not be nominated. And that is where a negotiated democracy comes in. Me, I believe that our elders are very important people in our community, but there are certain issues that they need to address. And the issues to do with female genital mutilations, rape, defilement is on the rise, especially in the counties in Mandera, Garissa, Wajir. It is very much on the rise. Those are the issues that they need to inculcate into the society how we need to stop doing those kind of stuff. I have participated in this Somali culture. This is the 5th year, and all the 5 years I've been participating. We need to change the narrative, because I always say my culture, my heritage, my language is the very foundation upon which my identity as a Somali is built. So instead of us trying to bring about all those kind of vices that is within our communities, the elders should have a place in history. They should do zile stories za kufanya maneno chini ya miti, ngombe zikiibiwa. Those are the things. They should not be involved in politics. Like, for example, I will not name the county. If I name it, definitely people will know which county I'm talking about. Can you imagine? There's a county from not northern Kenya, northeastern, meaning the 3 counties. I don't want to name which county. One of the CECs, can you imagine? Listen to this.
Let's say it's Mandela.
I didn't mention, that is Ahmed Khadar's. One of the CECs thought application to the Council of Elders, seeking for a job. I mean, in the county government act, there is nothing like Council of Elders. In the Constitution of Kenya, there is nothing like Council of Elders. Any policies and legislation passed by the National Assembly, there is nothing like Council of Elders. So you can understand that thing called Qabil or Qabiyalat. I'm sorry to use that word because of my brothers maybe don't understand. Is trying to lag us behind. So how can I have record? Thank you.
Okay, I just wanted to say something what he's just said.
Okay.
Yeah. First of all, the issue of nomination. You know, we're talking about what's the solution, what is the alternative for the youth for political participation. The issue of nomination, nominating people to a position of either MP or especially women, has never solved anyone's problem. And you see, nomination in this country has become a chance to nominate slave queens, side chicks for politicians. Let's be honest about this. Yeah, let's just say the way it is. If it's slave queens, we all know what they mean. Yeah. The other day, I can see my sister is laughing, but the thing is, nomination has become an opportunity for the political owners, the owners of political parties, to nominate their girlfriends, their sidekicks. You can use whichever word you want to use, but that's the point. But the thing is, let's talk about, when the other day the member of parliament for Kibra, my friend Ken Okoth died, a woman came out who says she has his skin. And I'm sorry to bring this here, but I just want to use as an example. Another woman happened to be a nominated MCA in the city council of Nairobi. And then the governor of Nairobi let the cat out of the bag, how she was nominated. And he said, my friend came to me, he helped me to nominate for her. So the issue of nomination can never be a solution for the youth, because they will never get nominated. Despite all her goodness, despite all what she's doing, I can swear, it will be hard for her to be nominated. But it will be easy to nominate a woman or a young girl who knows 1 or 2 big politicians. So the issue of nomination, we're saying no, yeah, honestly, yes. Now let's come to negotiated democracy. We come from the same country. The thing is, negotiated democracy also has become another platform for brokers calling themselves elders to eat. Yeah, until we speak these things, sincerely and wholeheartedly, we can never have a solution. So allow us to speak our heart. Yeah, let's just say things the way they are supposed to be said. If anyone wants to sugarcoat, I don't sugarcoat things for anyone. So the point is, the elders of Mandela, I will name it because he never meant it, and I know what he's talking about. The elders of Mandela County they had an influence on how a whole county government should be formed, secluding an entire community, bringing one community, that kind of things that make the whole country look messy. People fight over issues that cannot be fought over. So we need, for the young people, we need to come up, we need to raise our voice and say no to this. The other thing I want to talk about, finally, which is a girl child issue. This is right now, we never used to have this kind of thing. Child defilement is becoming a huge problem. And I'm sure Umi will agree with me because she's involved in these things. Girl child defilement, rape, and then they never get justice. Why? Because the same old men who call themselves Council of Elders will never vote in favor of the girl child because she'll always be suppressed. And when she's suppressed, she'll be told, whatever happened, and anyway, she's a girl, those kind of things. So we need to talk about the girl child in terms of and make it inclusive in the leadership structure so that we address them. And by the way, I'm so disappointed with the kind of women MPs, especially the women rep. Except, of course, she's not a woman rep. Madam Sophia is the only woman MP. I'm talking about the women who are supposed to address women issues. They are fighting among themselves of which politician, whose skills they have in their stomach, I don't know what, and those kind of stuff. Seriously. And I am addressing the young people of this country, especially the Somalian people. You need to raise your voice. You need to talk about issues, especially the platform you have, which is social media. I'm on Twitter. I am called at Ahmed Khadar. You can always follow me. I make a lot of noise. Don't hate me for that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We all know, when we talk about sex, it's taboo, not just in Northeastern, but on the whole continent. But we have to talk about these things, yeah? So, sexual and gender-based violence is normally, they normally target women who are very vulnerable, and this can be a young girl or just women who are alone and, they have no protection or such things. And of course, we know also how the different cultures look at women. So, but my question is, you just said we do practice negotiated democracies, right? But your vote remains with you, right? Nobody takes it from you before you go and vote.
No.
So why do you go to that ballot box and vote for someone the old people decided for you?
The unfortunate part of the negotiated democracy is when elders sit, each elder is representing a certain sub-clan of that entire clan, and then he's told to go to meet his people. And it's unfortunate that young people who are educated, young people who went to school are saying, we cannot say no to it. It's rubbish, but that's the reality.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you.
But that brings in the need of civic education.
Exactly.
I am really advocating for that because, like I said, we are illiterate, so we are still stuck at those ages of what they said. But if young people, we are educated and we are mobilized enough and we invest in proper civic education down to the ground, even involve those wazis and tell them the people you're bringing on this lineup of negotiated democracy are not competent. Because if all elders sit down, they bring 3 or 2 people who are endorsed for, say, a governor's seat. And there's someone like him who's also run clearly. He will really be outruler there because that's how the lineup is. So my point and my advocacy would go towards civic education, especially now that we're gearing towards the election period. There are a lot of NGOs that do these things, but we need to also incorporate the aspect of devolution. It should come from devolution itself so that we can have informed decision making. That's what we lack.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Perhaps 30 seconds, if I support a point. There's these sayings that say when elders sit, the community respects the elders. Huh?
Even when they are wrong.
Yes, even if they are wrong. You know what they say? du'arata mishabar. That's what they say. Do you want blessings or you want curse? And then when they hear, even the one who went to university, they say, these old men are serious. So they will take a back seat. That is bullshit. That is bullshit. So we need to, I agree with Mukhair, we need to run away from that. The only time that you can be cast is when you go wrong against God. Yes. Some small, some buffoon elders seated somewhere, taking bribes from politicians, and then they are telling you, your governor will be A and your governor will be me, myself. 2013 and 2017, I have defied them. And there's no cause, I'm still growing, my friend. So, tell them bullshit. And let's go on with our own life.
Okay, I would like to add this and say that we should not be taking all advices from the elders, thinking that they are wise. Even fools grow old. So not that when you are just an elder, you are wise.
Thank you very much.
When you're an elder, you're not wise. Sometimes you can be the most foolish person you can ever work on earth. But the point is, we respect our elders, yeah, but they should also respect their, themselves and know their boundary. They should keep to their lane. We're in 2019, for heaven's sake.
Yes. And young people, we have an advantage. We are like in this digital era where we can get all types of information and also influence our other comrades, So I don't see why we should just be listening to old people as we're told. They can also be fools. So I want to go away from politics a bit. So let's look at community development. What roles can young people play to develop their own communities? So I'll give you the floor first because you've already done something. Can you talk about what you've done so far for your community, and then everyone else will have a chance?
I run an initiative called Kesha Alliance in Garissa. And we basically advocate for quality education, gender equality, and recently we started advocating for peace because there's a lot of crisis in that field. And the need came up because, like I always say, I'm a beneficiary of education, quality education. And I came straight from a village school, went to a national girls' school. My own father was a principal at a national school. But the standards are not the same, and I thought I could do something. And that's how we mobilize each other as young people. And we currently focus on transition and retention. How do you transition young girls, focusing on girls really, from primary to secondary so they don't fall through the gaps? And how do you retain them in school? So we give them the moral support in terms of mentorship, career guidance, supporting them with the basic dignity kitties that they need. And I like the fact that we are entirely youth-led and also female-led, because they're things that we can only address as young people. If you see your community is going to the dogs, it's our responsibility to do something about it. And that's why I'm really passionate about matters education, matters empowerment, especially for the girls. But also recently I started getting involved with a group, and I got exposed to them on my campaign. They really did campaign for me. I can see them in the crowd, the Isli Deaf community. So I had no idea what they do. So they reached out and they're like, we are deaf and we are marginalized. On top of being a youth, you have extra challenges. And the beauty is that they're young people from Isli, all deaf, but they really know what they want. They're actually coming out to speak. But as usual, the systems are throttling them. We also lack the avenues to influence policies as young people, to even protest about poor governance, So I'm now really keen on the issue of education for persons with disabilities, and looking at the background of, I just randomly asked the room when we were in a meeting with them, how many of you have actually reached university? A few of them, and that's because education policy is there, the frameworks are there, very well written, very beautiful, zero implementation. Because you see a county like Garissa, we can look at the whole country. There's no one single university institution that actually says this is specifically for the deaf or the blind. So they are on their own. When they join university, they hire their own interpreters to interpret for them. So if they cannot afford the fees, that's it. If you're a lady Kanyambani, there's no space for you. So for me, I feel like as young people, the buck stops at us. When we get angry enough, when we come out to do things, that's when we get the attention from politicians. There are young people in this country who, if they speak up, they're heard. Real activists, and that's because they've made their agenda clear. They're not political shotguns for hire. They know what they're really going on about. So for me, it's a call to young people. When you talk of the Sustainable Development Goals, this is the last gasp. This is the time all the action should be happening. It should come from us as young people. We are the first to reckon with. We have the numbers. When we come together, then we can influence. I cannot do anything in my organization without the advice of the young people that I work with. And that's how we actually move on.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Can you just, in one sentence, say the role the youth should play in community development?
Okay, there are many roles the youth can play in community development. Just do what you have to do within where you are. Start from what you think should be around you. Like Umi has said, she does Christian Alliance, and it has come out of a need. Now let me say what I do as a young person for the community. Yeah? Personally, I've been an activist quite a lot. And guys from Isli know me. We used to, and we still do sometimes, the issue of garbage and waste disposal in Isli has been a big issue. And sometimes 2014, I think it was 2015, we started something called Isli Neglected Campaign. And again, we were using social media until the government and the governor of Nairobi, then Kidero, got our attention. And he said, can we talk about this? He invited us to his office. We didn't want to go to his office because, that's a way of also suppressing you and those kind of things. But basically, right now, if you go to Isli, the first runabout near Kilimanjaro and the runabout near Equity Bank used to be a dumping site. Now it's a runabout, which is clean. That came because of us, a team I was with, and a team I was leading with my friends. That's number one. Number two, and then which is the most important one. I write about issues of the community, what they go through, police harassment, how it became an ATM for the police, all these things, I talk about these things, I write, I have a blog called Khadar's World. My name is Khadar, so Khadar's World means the blog where I write about anything I want. And then we started Wafugaji News, which now we went ahead, step ahead, and decided to talk about the pastoralist community. We read about the girl child. We even featured her when she was going for the seat of. So Wafugaji News is wafugaji.co.ke.
I'll give you that chance.
Our main aim is to offer alternative livelihood to counter extremism and radicalization. We are in every corner opening up projects that young people can engage in and try to make some cash, because at the end of the day, you will have to pay bills and you have to do something. So let us get united as youth. Let us speak using one voice, and let us make our issues known. If you are suffering, the clanism in Garissa, because my organization is still meant to do there, most of the activities in Nairobi. So let us speak these things out. We are facing one problem that is cutting across. Whatever we are suffering in central Kenya is the same thing that we are suffering in Nyanza province, is the same thing that we are suffering in Garissa and maybe even at the coastal region.
Thank you, Isaac.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, our sister asked how the youth can impact on the development of the community. I will advise you first, follow your passion. The organization I run is a national NGO, basically for human rights. We are the first people to access Garissa University after the attack. We took Kenyans from all the 47 counties, campaign against extremism. And that one led to the opening of the university. Secondly, we also do legal aid clinics in Sli. I'm sure if you know me, you must have seen some tents we used to mount in Sli, 12th Street, trying to educate the people on their rights that is enshrined in the Constitution. Access to justice. Right now, I am dealing with 3 cases of extrajudicial killing. 2 of them is in Mandera. A 63-year-old mother was killed by police. Both police officers were arrested, charged, and now they're facing their time in court. So what I want to challenge you guys is my number is open to everyone. If police harass you in Isli or anywhere else in our country, you can call me. And I'm going to leave my Twitter handle as well as Facebook and the number. You cannot be harassed by police because the law of Kenya protects you. However, you cannot do a mistake and expect a lawyer to advocate for you. My friend, and then you expect the lawyer to represent you, it won't happen. So please, if anybody harasses you, you can contact me. I'm going to leave my contacts. We are going to follow the law. But if you break the law must deal with you, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. One thing I usually say, one-eyed man will only thank God after seeing a blind man. So youths, if you have both hands and you have absolute no reason to develop your community. As Global Peace Foundation, we do a lot of projects, and I welcome you guys to come on board. From next month, we are starting something called Together in Partnership with Peace and Culture, Emerging Leaders Foundation and Anika. We are starting something called Y Talks. It's basically called Youth Talks. So where youth are going to address issues. And next month, we're talking about mental health. And that is it. And at Global Peace Foundation, we have leap hubs where if you are innovative or you have a business idea, we are going to get an appointment with somebody who is well versed in that sector and is going to advise you the advantages of that business and all that, so that you get, the ideas and how well you can, start up your business. And basically that is it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I will now ask the audience if you have 3 burning questions. Yes, please.
As youth, have we think of the solution of this fact, which has been mentioned by Mr. President Abbas, when it comes using the money dedicated to youth, have you ever think about the solution? And one of the members of the colleagues mentioned that misusing even the leadership and the offices given to the youth. Have you ever think of the solution and get the confidence to the leaders in the field? Thank you so much.
My name is Elias. I just have a question, but actually goes to all the panelists that I need maybe each one of you to think about and maybe respond. It is about the inclusive of the persons with disability in the political arena. What do you think can be done to include persons with disability in the political positions? And also, especially when it comes to the deaf community, where the communication is a real barrier. Thank you.
So the question is, initially probably, mostly police are going around. I don't know which kind of patrol they have designed, and others are in uniform and others are not in uniform. They are arresting youth, asking the ID. Even if you have the ID, they will take your ID and put it in the pocket. They will take you to the police station and ask for money, even if you have the ID. So how can we come out with that? That's my question.
Hello.
Shout.
Am I already calling now?
Yes.
I hear you well. Okay. My name is Beryl, and I'm here as a passionate about culture. I'm not a Somalia, but I'm very happy to be here today, and I thank our panelists. My question is, do you think the system of education is affecting our youth representation and experience to this new world? So, do you think the system is very edible or very reliable on the system of peace and culture? That's my question.
Exactly, especially how the whole 844 is structured. It's more of result-oriented than your individual capacity, nurturing talent. And I'm not here to glorify CBC, but I like that they realized the previous system was rubbish. I'm a victim of that system. I had to change courses to realize, you know what, I'm not supposed to be in this field. That's the kind of problem that we have. So we take a lot of time figuring ourselves out. We are passed by the political situation of the country. You might find young people, especially Kenyans, who would ask you, "IBBI nini?" because they don't even know what's happening. And that's because our minds have been wired to worry about what will I do after Form 4, what will I do after university. So I do agree, the previous system, the 844, plays a key role in terms of the kind of young people we have. In a different country or different setting, young people are the ones who are leading the change. The climate strike is being led by a young girl. She actually realized, school is not as important. I need to advocate for this. And that's because of how the education system is set up. So for us, that we are victims of 844, but also knowledge is out there. We are in a digital world. The world is global. Information is out there. So the much we can do to catch up with what has already happened to us is just to be informed enough, follow the policies that have been made, the frameworks that were drafted, the declarations, especially on peace that have been made, and then see where you can come in to support.
Thank you very much. I just also want to add what she said. Let's seek for knowledge. It doesn't have to be just in the classrooms. Yeah. As for the question about security and police harassment, I would like Captain Asir to answer.
I am actually, that's my field. I work with United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, and we work with the Pangani Police Station, Shorimoyo Police Station, Likoni Police Station, and Changamwe Police Stations in Mombasa. And we also work in Zanzibar. So there is what's called the National Police Service has a department called Internal Affairs Unit. I don't know if the communities living in Isli and Shaurimoyo area are aware that there are changes in Shaurimoyo Police Station. Are you aware? There is a new OCS, and the entire police station was transferred because of corruption and police harassment. And that happened through the report that the community made to Internal Affairs Unit. And I'm going to give you this banner, and if you have time to write, if our moderator will allow me, please, you can write it down. It is very helpful. If you call these numbers, actions will be taken, and it is anonymous. Nobody will know your number. And if you are unable, you can also contact me. Because it has happened, it's working. Any police officer or police woman who is trying to harass you, you can contact these numbers, or I will give you my personal numbers. That is, it is a toll-free number. You can call directly 0800-721-230. I repeat, 0800-72-1230. And you can SMS 4683. 4683. It's free number. You can call anytime. It is 24 hours. I repeat. The number is 0800-72-1230. The SMS one is 4683.
Thank you very much, Abdinaris, for this information. Inclusion of persons with disabilities in the political positions. I will ask Samuel to first answer it and support it.
Thank you so much. The inclusion of persons with disability is something very essential, very important, and is something that the government should look into. So I love what we are doing with the YWCA. There's a program that we are doing for persons with disability. Next month we have a competition at the YWCA, just opposite Mamlaka Road. So we are coming up with policies that are going to guide and support the person living with disabilities. So it's something very important, and we are looking into that. Most probably we can work together with him. Maybe after this we'll have a talk and see how far we can enhance this and just make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do you have something to add to that?
Yes, before I go to persons with disability, I'd like to talk about security when it comes to the police. The Somali people are actually mostly vulnerable when it comes to the law enforcement. First thing that happens when you meet a policeman, this is from law and my background in criminology will tell you that first when you are arrested and may be purported, you have to ask the policeman, am I under arrest? Then from there, the only defense you have is to remain silent. Because the moment you speak, you will start incriminating yourself. Do not talk to the policeman. So wait for the next step to be taken to the police station and everything that they purport you have done to be written down. Then this is where your lawyer comes in. Because when a lawyer comes in, if he's a lawyer, he'll tell you, the first question they ask you, what did you tell them? But if you talked too much, you give them a handle to hold you on, to grip on you. So the moment you meet the police, if they ask for the ID, give them. Yeah? If they ask for any other document, give them. If they tell you, they can put something illegal in your pocket, yeah? Don't start explaining. Don't start telling them it's not you, telling them how much you have. Because this is the problem that happens. You start asking the officer, how much do you want? Yeah? You are not in the wrong side, but the panic button of what is going to transpire is what makes you to be a criminal. So the moment you get arrested, do not just ask them, how much do you want? Tell me, niambie mkubwa. No. First, if you get arrested, yeah, go to the OCS, because some of these we have good police in them, and we have the wrong ones. So when you reach the hierarchy maybe of an OCS, things turn out to be different because they have a problem explaining why you got arrested. When it comes to the issue about persons with a disability, as a country, we're making baby steps to making it equitable for everyone. Like now, coming to this pulpit, if I was on a wheelchair, I could not manage it because they have only the staircase, and the other side is the staircase. So like the new designs in the building, they are including how you can access the building while using your chair, your wheelchair. Then as well, we need to have those modified vehicles that have the way you can use as well your wheelchair. The vehicle has its own cliff to lift you up. The deaf people, there is the hearing aid. The government should look into that. It is very expensive. It costs about 300,000 Kenyan money, and those hearing gadgets, they are not available here in Kenya. You order online from Amazon. So as well, these are the things that we need to highlight so that they can be subsidized and they can be made available in our clinics and every corner we have.
Thank you, Isaac. The funds, the embezzlement of the funds assigned for the youth development.
Now, the youth, the funds, there's a guy up there who asked that question. First of all, we have to follow how these funds are dispersed, what they are used for you even to know they have been stolen. That means you have to read the reports of the Auditor General. You have to know what is the budget controller saying about these things. From there, every year, there are reports that come out. Just the other day, the Ethics and Corruption Survey 2018 report has been released just about a week ago. And they have been saying which county is corrupt. And the unfortunate part is the most corrupt county in Kenya is from Northeastern. And I will name it, I have no fear to say that it's Wajir. And money has been eaten. So the thing is, you have to be vocal about these things. You have to ask questions. You have to read these reports. You have to ask questions. These guys who are eating your money, they're also they're online. Every governor has a Facebook or a Twitter account. Ask questions. You know, make life difficult for them. And you know, that's the only thing you can do. You know, and then they may feel you. But at the end of the day, is the unfortunate part is no one uses those reports. In fact, those reports should be used to arrest people and jail them. No one in this country has ever been jailed for corruption. Especially when I say no one, I don't mean they jail those who steal the cuckoo, this kind of stuff. You will never see a governor going to jail, and they're the biggest thieves we have in this country. You know, that's the reality. Now, the issue of misuse, just be vocal, just try to know your rights, write things about it. So that's the least we can do where we are. But the best thing you can do is every citizen is allowed to take action. Go to court, take injunction against them. There's a guy who does this thing from this time who has the courage to go to court. He has taken governors to court until they tell him let's negotiate, you know. So at the end of the day, what matters is for citizens to be vocal. But there's something I'm passionate about, the issue of disability. You know, I volunteer for a disabled organization called Nondo. How many of you know Nondo? Yeah? Nondo is a disability organization that helps and supports people from the pastoralist counties on issue of disability. And my friend up there, I hope you are telling him, yes. And being a deaf, I also have a nephew who's a deaf. And what I can say is, first of all, let's start from us. Let's be kind to them. You know, let's make them inclusive in our discussion. If you see someone with disability, yes, yeah, let's be kind to them. They don't need what do you call? Don't sympathy. No, they need empathy. There's a difference between sympathy and empathy. What they need is empathy, not sympathy. These guys, they are school. They are just like any. You know, they're just like us. The only difference is maybe doesn't hear. You know, and that's not his problem. It's not his fault. It's maybe the way God planned for him. So what we can do is let's be inclusive. Let's give them what they deserve on the basis of merit, and please always take chance to be supportive to your community. This is my passion, I guess. Yeah. So be active citizen. Take position on issues happening around you, be it your ward. I come from Kamukunji constituency. Yeah. And many of you know how I've been taking hell on those politics of Kamukunji. So please be what you call. Don't be a sycophant. Don't clap for any politician, especially Kenyan politician. They don't deserve it. Let's just be realistic about this. So be active citizen, participate in the decision-making process, and when you're voting, vote with your head, not with your stomach. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, as you've heard from the panelists, let's obey the law. Let's be law-abiding citizens. Then, of course, we talk about police harassment, but let's not be not obeying the law and then we complain about police harassing us. If we follow the law and they harass us, then that is a problem which should be addressed. Then we should call Abdinasir and of course also take it to court. And also I hear a lot of, let's be inquisitive. Let's know, our rights. Let's know what the policies say about the youth. Let's not just talk for the sake of talking, but talk with facts. And for us to talk with facts, we have to know what is up in those policies. We have to read, we have to have knowledge, and it doesn't have to come from the classes only. We are in a digital era where you can access anything and everything. Thank you very much to the panelists. It was really wonderful having this chat and discussion, and thank you also to the audience.